Now, on a day where the national insurance rise is kicking in, you may or may not be aware that it's been exposed that thousands of senior staff in councils earned more than £100,000 last year, despite most working from home during the COVID pandemic. Now, this is unbelievable. The highest paid was someone by the name of Joe Negrini, who was the former chief executive of Camden Council. Now, Camden Council basically was bankrupt. And do you know how much Joe Negrini got? £613,895, which includes a loss of office payment of £144,356 and a pension strain payment of £292,851. It is just staggering figures. Well, joining me to talk about this is the campaign manager at the Taxpayers Alliance, Harry Phone. Evening to you, Harry. Thanks for taking the time to talk to us here on Talk Radio. I mean, these figures, they're like telephone numbers. I mean, just ridiculous. The councils that are funded by our council tax, which incidentally has also gone up for most people, that these salaries are being paid. I mean, is it for the best people? Are we getting the best people for the job for this money?
It's a good question to ask, and that's basically what the Town Hall Rich List tries to help people answer. Joe Negrini, who you mentioned, is actually Croydon Council, I should just say, rather than Camden Council.
Oh, sorry, Croydon.
No, that's quite all right. I mean, in her particular case, I mean, that is a council that, as you say, it's gone bankrupt. This was a number of factors involved in this. One of them was a company they set up called Brick by Brick. The idea was it was going to provide cheap, affordable housing to the community. They were going to build something like 500 houses every year. In reality, what happened was they racked up huge debts to the taxpayer, and they didn't build anywhere near the number of homes they intended to. All this happened under her watch, and she was essentially remunerated very well indeed for failure. That said, though, there are other councils that are delivering excellent frontline services. They are doing everything possible to keep council tax down. And I would say probably in those instances that people who are on salaries, maybe not quite £600,000 or in terms of remuneration, but those, on more modest sums are probably more deserving than she would be in this particular example.
I mean, that is always the argument, isn't it, when it comes to public sector pay, that you need to pay to get the best people. And, I mean, but a lot of people are going to look at this. It's nearly £700,000. These are eye-watering sums of money. 739 staff have earned more than £150,000 a year. I mean, that's sort of Prime Minister money. I mean, should there be a cap, or would that actually lead to services suffering?
Yeah, there should certainly be a cap on exit payments, which you mentioned in Miss Negrini's case there. She got £144,000. There was briefly a cap of £95,000 introduced on these golden goodbyes, but unfortunately, owing to various legal wranglings, it was removed. But the government are trying to bring that back in again. So that would certainly be, a big step forward to solving that problem. Of course, there is the argument. I don't think we would expect, if we paid people minimum wage, that we were going to get best value for money. There's obviously got to be a level here. There have been talks in the past of sort of performance-related pay, but I think it would be sort of quite difficult to necessarily implement something like. But that's in a way what Town Hall Rich tries to do. It tries to give people the information to say what's going on in your council and are you getting bang for your council tax money.
But this is the point. That's the performance, as far as I'm concerned. I mean, I think you made a really good point there about performance-related pay. Why can't council officials have a basic salary? It can even be quite a generous salary. I mean, it doesn't need to be a terrible salary, but then bonuses based on improving efficiency, improving more bang for your buck for council, for people who live in that borough. I mean, one of the most staggering stories about this, and again, I will just repeat, just in case anyone was confused earlier by my saying the wrong place, it was Croydon Council. This person received nearly £700,000 in salary and benefits and the like before the council went bankrupt. I mean, they left the job and then the council went bankrupt. So it's someone being paid for essentially a council that failed.
Yeah, it's completely unacceptable. And I think this is possibly where we need central government to step in and act. Just to give another council a bit of a plug, which is Slough Council, which has also faced bankruptcy. It's going to be very interesting to see the figures when they do eventually come out there, because we still haven't had their statement of accounts published yet. It would not be unreasonable, like you see in the private sector, if someone was a chief executive of a company, or almost in any job in a company, that there are, key performance indicators, I think they call it. You're supposed to hit and make those targets. And if you make those targets, then you can have some sort of bonus. I mean, with the example of council tax, you mentioned council tax has gone up, which indeed it has. It's gone up by 3.5% this year across England. The average bill is encroaching ever closer to £2,000. In fact, when you factor out London boroughs, the rest of England is paying over £2,000 for a Band D council tax bill. I would have no problem with council chief executives who are providing the best frontline services possible and freezing, if not cutting, council tax from receiving some sort of bonus for their efforts. Sadly, not enough councils are doing that. I think this year only about 7 councils froze council tax, with only a further 2 actually cutting council tax.
Now, meanwhile, not only are we facing higher council tax charges, not only are we facing a situation where councils are spending a fortune on salaries, and I haven't even got onto some of the balmy schemes that they spend a fortune on as well. But we're also seeing a national insurance rise starting to hit pay packets. The government have said that it's being spent on health and social care, but then going back to the council tax, my council tax bill, I should have brought it in, actually has a section on it where I'm now paying an extra fee for health and social care. So I'm paying twice for that.
Yeah, I mean, exactly. And this is one of the things that we've looked at is you're being asked to pay more tax, both in terms of, as you say, the council tax and at the national level with national insurance. But there's always this argument from local and national government that, we can't find any more money. We've eradicated, all the spending. There's no more fat left to trim. But as we've consistently shown, there is plenty of money to be saved. There's billions of pounds to be saved every year. And actually, we don't need to hike these taxes if we eradicate that wasteful spending. Certainly in the case of national insurance, councils always say, well, of course, you had the central government cuts and austerity, and that's the big problem. Well, even before the coalition government came in 2010, when the funding wasn't being cut, they were still raising council tax. So it seems whatever the situation, council tax always seems to go up. But as I say, there are councils that buck the trend, and more power to them.
Do you know my local council has just put a load of bollards around the local square, anti-terror bollards, and each bollard cost £13,000, and there are about 40 of them. I mean, it's just the most staggering amount of money. And a lot of people would say, well, look, do you want bollards or do you want good council services? And I think they'd ask for the latter. Really good to talk to you, and outrageous sums of money we've been discussing there. Harry Phone, campaign manager at Taxpayers Alliance.